Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today we're going to play with the Dell 730 server some more. I'm going to tell you about some trials and some tribulations I had with it, and then we'll move on to what we're going to do with it today. So if you saw the last episode about this Dell R730 server, you know that I put Proxmox on it. I created some virtual machines. I've got some lab machines in here, namely LabNet 20 or LabNet 30, one of the two. And I created a couple of Windows 11 machines with the P40, Tesla P40 in pass-through mode. And then I got to thinking to myself, do I really need Proxmox on this server, on this Dell R730? Would I not be better served to just install Windows Server 2022, which has the Windows subsystem for Linux? It also has Hyper-V, so I could still create virtual machines under there if I needed to. And it would allow me to then just use the video cards natively in WSL and for other programs I might be using. One little problem. Now, mind you, before I did all this, I backed everything up using the wonderful, simple, but yet reliable and rock-solid backup utility in Proxmox. So this is a thumbs up for the Proxmox real simple built-in backup program, not the backup server. I haven't used it yet. So, but I backed up every one of my VMs to my Synology NAS is behind me here. Installed Windows Server 2022 on there. Everything was going fine until I loaded the drivers for the Tesla P40 video card, and then everything turned to hell in a handbasket. The long and the short of it is, my thought is because I have two Tesla P40s in there, the IPMI interface for the Dell is getting confused and doesn't know where to route the video after the drivers are loaded. I mean, for the IPMI interface. So rather than spend a lot of time trying to troubleshoot that issue, back went Proxmox onto this machine. And then I had to restore each one of the virtual machines individually. But live and learn. It now has Proxmox back on it. And today what we're going to do is we're going to create a virtual machine. Well, I've already done that, but we're going to pass through both of the Tesla P40 cards. Each one of them has 24 gig of VRAM. And we're going to pass those through to a Windows 11 virtual machine that I've created with lots of RAM and lots of CPUs. And we're going to see how well it performs running a program called LM Studio. And LM Studio is a Windows program. Now, last time I used it was about, well, probably a month ago. I run a combination of programs. Some of them Linux will run under Linux. Some of them run under Docker under Linux. Some of them run under Windows. This program happens to be a native Windows application. And you're going to see how I download it, how I install it, how trivial it is to install it and set it up. And I got to tell you, I'll save some of this for the video, but Unky Joe gets a pleasant surprise. So let's stop yammering and let's go get it installed, and you'll see what it is I'm talking about. All right, so just so you can see what I'm doing here, I've created another Windows 11 Enterprise version with two Tesla P40 cards passed through on this Dell 730. So, as you can see here, I've also set this up with 64 gig of RAM, and I've just given all of this RAM available to the system. I don't like using ballooning on a Windows machine when I'm going to be doing AI. I just wanted to have all the RAM available to it at all the time, because I've got plenty of it, thanks to Marquez. And then I've given it two sockets with 8 cores each for a total of 16 CPUs, 16 CPUs cores. And then, of course, I've expanded also the hard drive, the SSD, from 120 to 200 gig, which reminds me we need to go fix something on the Windows side. So I've gone over till I'm blue in the face how to set up these Windows 11 with pass-through. So you should have that down pat by now. Just check one of my prior videos, do a little search on them, and I should have one in there that shows you how I set these machines up, because I don't want to have to repeat that again. But anyway, suffice it to say that once you see the IP up, you should be able to connect by RDP if you've done everything correctly, and I'm assuming you have. So here we are over on said virtual machine. You can tell because we've got the little band up here at the top. If you want to ever get rid of that, if it's annoying you, just click the little pin icon in the upper left hand corner, and eventually that will disappear and it'll come back once you bring your bar up there. It also tells you your connectivity up here, your connection information. Hey, your quality is good and UDP is enabled. See details. Wow, looky there. There's my timestamp. There's my frames per second. Yeah, pretty cool, huh? Anyway, back on target. You can see I also have dual Tesla P40 cards in here. Each one of them has 24 gig of RAM. Perfect. And we also have 16 virtual processors and 64 gig of RAM. What we don't have, though, boys and girls, is a 200 gig SSD. It's only 119 gig. So we got to fix that. So normally, you just come in here to disk management under Windows, and you just tell that, hey, extend volume. But I can't. Why? Because this partition is in the way of that partition. And I can't just, thanks Windows, I can't just drag and drop. That would be great, but as you can see, it has no effect. Now, what I have to do first is I have to go out and I have to delete this recovery partition. I never use these things. Now, don't do what I'm doing without a little bit of knowledge, okay? So find out what the repercussions of deleting that recovery partition are. I really don't care because I have snapshots and I have backups, so I've got that covered if I screw something up really bad. And because I don't presume to know everything and I'm really bad at keeping notes. I keep good notes, I just I haven't organized where those notes are kept. So occasionally I need to go talk to my AI assistant. And as you can see, I've asked it, how do I delete the recovery partition using diskpart? And it's given me all the lovely instructions I need. So I'm just going to follow these instructions. I suggest you do the same. And if you don't have a large language model up and running to service you in your own home, I suggest you get one. That's kind of what this video is all about, but we're like making one with lots of RAM available so we can run some of these bigger models, see how they perform. But yeah, this is a step you'll need to do if you're going to expand your hard drive under Proxmox. So I'm out here on the virtual machine, and I'm in a command prompt, or I'm in a terminal window as admin, and I'm just going to run the command called diskpart. And I'm going to list the disk. There's only one disk, but I still need to select it. Select disk 0. And then I think it's list partition. Yep. And the one we're looking at is partition 4. So select partition 4. And then the command is and then delete partition override. Okay, so let's try that. Delete partition override. And then let's do list partition, and it's gone. So good. So let's type exit now. And then let's run disk manager one more time. And then we should see that our recovery partition is gone. Yay. Now if we right click on the C drive and go to extend volume, little wizard prompts us through, and now we have a 200 gig hard drive, which will allow some more room for more stuff to be loaded, larger models, that kind of thing. So there, That's good. Now I'm going to do things a little differently on this unit than I did on my other virtual machine. And I'm going to run LM Studio on here. It's one of the LLM programs that I'm going to run. And because the reason I'm going to do it is because it's very flexible. So if you want to play around with large language models, and this one is kind of cool in the way I don't like the interface so much on the interacting with it. I prefer the open web UI to this one, but this allows you to play around with some models that you wouldn't normally be able to play around with, and it's not bad. I mean, it's you can make it function. So I'm just going to download the version for Windows, and you should see it downloading here. Anyway, it just gives you a little more flexibility. There's no reason I can't run LM Studio when I want to play with it and do the open web UI under Docker and or something else on here. You follow me? So the beauty of these virtual machines is that we can just kind of whatever the sky's the limit. So I like LM Studio. I like to play around with it, and so if it ever finishes the download, if you ever see this and your download is taking forever to complete, just be patient. What it is that the Microsoft scanner, anti-malware scanner, is out there scanning that file, and that usually explains what's taken so long for the download to complete. And as you can see, it's still waiting to complete, and now it's done. Okay, so it's not a bug in Windows. It's just sometimes the anti-malware scan slows it down. Okay, and then this is about how hard it is to install LM Studio. So we're going to double click on this icon. Now, I believe LM Studio will solve all your dependency issues on its own because it's a true Windows install application, whereas something like the Docker one or some of the others, you have to have Python installed to get them to work. So just keep that in mind. And we're doing this real time to give you kind of an idea of how, how this program runs. And LM Studio can be a little, the reason I put Task Manager up there is to show you it's actually doing something, but LM Studio is a sneaky little devil, and sometimes its installer doesn't, like now, necessarily tell you what the hell's going on. And if you've been in technology as long as I have, that could appear to be like a virus or something, somebody playing a prank on you. So don't worry, it's not. Just another great reason to run this kind of stuff in a virtual machine, a virtual environment. So it can't, if you run some of these GitHub programs or some of these programs out on Git, you're always taking a risk that you trust the person on the other end. So, all right, so it looks like they have changed their interface a bit, and that's how hard it was to get it to run. And it's created an icon or a shortcut now, so that's good. All right, so the first thing we need to do with LM Studio is go and download a model, and they make it's very simple. It's one of the things I like about LM Studio. What I don't like about LM Studio is their chat window. I always put it, you can have it on user, power user, or developer. I keep mine on power user, and I'll show you why. Okay, so right. So if I just slow down and read the screen here, these are new and noteworthy. Now, search for models on Hugging Face. I'm looking for a see, we find 31B. It's just to Llama 3.1. So there's a Chinese chat one. I don't want that one. Let's go by most downloads. There we go. Here's a Lexi Uncensored V2. And what I like about it is over here it tells you this is quantized for Llama 3.1 8B Lexi Uncensored version 2. full GPU offload possible. So I could run in what I have right now, and it doesn't show you the RAM. Here we go. System resource usage. It tells you how much RAM and CPUs in use, and right now it's none. I'm going to go ahead and here's a Llama 3.1 Q4 8 billion parameter, and that is where is it from? Where is it from? There's a README file. I guess we could look at that. So the creator is Meta, sorry, Llama 3 8B, instruct, quantized by Bartowski, Katemi, and DDH. So you can see all the information that LM Studio gives you. So if that's your thing and you want to deal with researching some of these larger models or just researching models in general, you can do that. Whereas with something like OpenWebUI, it's a little more difficult. You kind of got to know what you're doing. But this just makes it dead simple to just pick, whatever model you want to use. And I'm just going to use this. I love the fact that it has the README on here. And then it even tells you, hey, we've released version 2, and that one's here. And then I could open it in a browser. So I'm just going to do Llama 3.1. I'm just going to download this one. Oh, I really like this. So it brings up they really improved the interface, and now it brings up the download queue to tell you that your model is actually downloading. So we'll let that download. Okay, so the model is downloaded, so I'm going to close that. I'm going to come here to the chat, and I'm going to, it gives me an option here. It's popped up. It said, hey, this downloaded. Do you want to load it? So I'm going to just click on there, load model. Let it load the model. And it should use both of my video cards. It should automatically just, say, okay, I know how much stuff you have, and I'm going to use all of it. And then we'll see if the chat works once the model loads. So I don't see it impacting RAM on either of the video cards. Stop that, Windows. Or even system RAM for that matter. I don't see it going up. There it goes. Still loading the module. Okay, and I'm starting to see some RAM. Yeah, and so you see it's splitting RAM usage between the two video cards. That's really cool. So it's taking whatever VRAM it needs to load the module. And you see it's taking 4.95 gig of RAM. 0 CPU right now. I think the model is loaded. Yep. So I'm going to ask it, are you available to this? Oh, that was pretty quick. All right, so now I have some questions that I like to ask my AI just as kind of a test, and I've written those down here. So let's start with this. What is the definition of artificial intelligence? Let's copy that. Come back over here, paste it, and send it. Wow. Oh man, there is one thing I just have seen now on this LM Studio, and that is the tokens per second. Ooh, I think I may have just found my new favorite. And look at this. They've got regenerate now, continue, branch chat. They've got copy, edit, and delete. Oh, okay. All right, OpenWebUI, you got some competition now. You really do. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed, and I'm not easily impressed. But all the things that OpenWebUI had, now this has. Well, the things that I use so far. And there's probably a bunch of other undiscovered stuff I don't even know about. So, yeah, we'll have to play around with this. Let's ask it another question. That one was pretty quick. I want to. There's a question I always ask, and because I'm just so caught up in Nikola Tesla. I think he was one of the most brilliant men ever to live in our time. So I want to know everything you know. Not much. Yeah. And that is probably some setting I need to do. So let's do continue assistant message. Now, copy. So there's got to be some setting where I can tell it, hey, give me lots of tokens, right? No, maybe not. Well, we'll have to, it's one of those things I'm going to have to research. All right, so I've come across this Orangutan Llama 3.1-8B Lexi Uncensored V2 GGGUF. And it claims it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead, it's a Q4, quantized 4. I'm going to go ahead and download that one, put that in the queue. And then I'm going to look for the other one under most likes, and you can see Lexi 2, the one I'm downloading, is there as well. There's Storm. There's the Dolphin. Llama 3.1B. Again, it's a model that'll fit. But we'll try this one, the Lexi Uncensored V2, which should finish downloading here in a minute or two. And we'll try that with those same questions and see if we don't get some better responses. I'll be curious. How about you? All right, we have the new model loaded. The Orangutan Llama 3.1 8B Lexi Uncensored. Let's see if it can write me a story, a 4,000 word or 400 word. I told it only 400, didn't I? Well, I think it's fast. That's fast. And this is the kind of answer I was looking for. Cool. That was 36.23 tokens per second. That was pretty cool. Now I want to do the Nikola Tesla again. Try it and see what kind of response I get. See if it can change the message. And you notice I said tell everything you know. So that's good. Let me tell you, this sucker is fast. That's a fast little model. Or LM Studio is fast. Man, oh man. It's only using about 6 gig of RAM. Let's see. Regenerate message. Continue assistant message. Branch this chat. Copy. I don't know what branch. I don't know what continue assistant and these are. I'll have to look them up. Let's ask it another question because this one is doing really well. And like I say, this might be my new, here we go. Here's a good one. Makes it think. This might be my new favorite interface for LLMs. The only problem is I don't think I can run this remotely. In other words, I can't use it like a web interface. And there you go. It's doing great. And yeah, 1991 tokens, 31.21 tokens per second. This is pretty fast, folks. Now the question would be, can I load a larger model in here, you think? So I'm going to go up here to chat, then I'm going to go ahead and eject this model. And then I'm going to select this new one, this 13 billion parameter 6 gig model, and have it start loading. And let's see how much more RAM it uses. So it looks like it has loaded the model. And yeah, so I'm going to do a new chat. It's got the right model loaded. Let's see how it does with that. So you can see it's putting the video cards to use. It didn't generate too long of a message. Let's do this one. Let's have it write a story for us. And it should be a 4,000 word, not a 400 word. Some of these models, it's like they, you know, they don't want to be too chatty. I can understand that, you know, but I like when I ask for all the information I can get. Oh, stop. There's two typos in that message if nobody's noticed it. About an II. What's an II director? IT director. There we go. I have it regen now. I do like the speed, so let's see if we get 4,000 words out of this. And yeah, see, you keep having to tell it to what, continue? How do you continue? You hit enter. See, this is the problem with some of these models. Maybe regenerate? No. I thought it was this little button here, which was, you know, continue assistant message. How about the Mistral Uncensored? Let's load that one and see how that does. So it's loading up the memory on the video cards now. This is a smaller model, so. And it looks like it's launched it. So I'm going to do a new chat. And let's see if I get 4,000 words. Yeah, it's putting some lines of. Yeah, 32.83. Not a good, no, just not a good response. All right, let's do the Tesla question. Let's see how it does with that. Some of these models, and this is the beauty of something like LM Studio. You can download these models and see if you get the kind of response out of them you want. Now see, look, I told it to tell me everything it knows. Maybe that's all it knows about Nikola Tesla. Not impressed with that model either. So if we go back to our Wizard, our Llama 3B Uncensored, we'll load that, the Lexi Uncensored, and see how that does with the same questions. Because, yeah. All right. So new chat. Yeah, I mean it's not a bad response. Let's see how it does with the story. 4,000. I'm gonna fix this once and for all so that I don't keep copying the wrong thing and bashing my head up against a rock and wondering why I'm bleeding. Okay, so I got quite a bit more information about Tesla. Hey, look at that. Look at all that data. I like that. More data, the better. And let's see how creative it is. The IT Avenger. Okay, this ought to be interesting. Continue the story with 4,000 more words. All right. right. So it looks like it's doing it, and it's doing a good job. Now, I'm not saying this is going to replace Open Web UI for me, but it's yet another tool in my arsenal of AI related text to whatever text. One of these days I'll get the damn terminology right. I'm going to train myself this weekend. But it looks like this orangutan Llama 3B Lexi Uncensored is really doing quite well, actually. In fact, I'm going to have it do another creative writing while I'm sitting here going on about how I like this program. But again, there are things that Open Web UI will do that this doesn't do. One of those is it works with the graphic generation models as well, and there are specific LLMs that are suited to that, to text to photos, or text to picture, or text to video, just like there are for text to AI or whatever. So I'm gonna do this one. Write a short story about a character who discovers a hidden world within their own reflection. Let's see how it does. And let's see what the impact is on. It's hardly using any CPU. So those 16 virtual processors may have been a little bit overkill, but you can see it is using the memory on both Tesla cards. And, so not necessarily, larger models don't necessarily mean that you get better responses. I still need to find a 70 billion parameter model that'll fit in less than, like 42 gig of RAM. But you can see right here, this thing is doing just fine for chatting. So in my humble opinion, if you're just looking to get down and dirty and you've got a 1080 Ti, or you've got one of the lower end cards, or one that doesn't have a lot of RAM, load this onto your computer, load LM Studio. Hell, you can run this on a laptop and at least have the advantage of being able to play around with these large language models. So that's why I wanted to sit here today and kind of talk about LM Studio and how easy it was to install it. And as you can see, it's just, it's done its job. It's actually lighter on resources than I think my way of doing it with the Docker is. And it's frankly faster than the Docker. I'm going to be trying that next on this machine with the 2 video cards and seeing how that works. But your mileage might vary, but I say give LM Studio a try. You've got nothing to lose, and you can set it up as a server now, as well as a local server, so that I should be able to connect up to it via a website or a web interface and get onto it. So I'll have to look into that as well, because that's one of the other things about Open Web is I can set it up on this machine and then access it from anywhere on my network. So again, your mileage might vary, but overall I'm pretty pleased with LM Studio and how it works. It's not perfect, but most of that is down to the LLMs you use. And there you go, just like that, it's installed. LM Studio is up and running. You see it was using both of the video cards, splitting the RAM usage between the 2 different cards. Now, I was not successful at getting a 70 billion parameter model loaded, but I'll work with that. I'll work on that, because now LM Studio with its new interface has a lot of potential for me. I won't use it as my daily driver. I won't load it on my local computer here and use it as my daily driver. I still have my Open Web running on the Epic server with the RTX 3060 video card and 12 gig of RAM. And for what I'm doing, it works pretty well. What I'll be using LM Studio for on this server is to play around with some of the models that, are obscure or out there, or aren't crippled in some way by, other people telling you what you can and cannot research, whether it be local or on the internet. You know what I'm saying? But I like open source. I like models that are open to my questions. If I want to ask it how to do X or Y, I would like to get an answer, And it just, it goes to show you that if you have these large language models running locally and you are able to switch between them easily, and the internet would happen to go down for whatever reason, these LLMs are still going to work. They're still going to be able to share with you the vast amount of knowledge that's out there. It's like having a spare brain. And some of these models are better at asking questions than other models. And so the other nice thing about LM Studio is it allows me to play with all those different potential combinations of models and see how they perform against one another. It's a big task, but I think I'm up to it. And that also gives me 48 gig of VRAM. So if I want to load some of those larger models that supposedly are better at answering questions, I can do that. But, so there you go, folks. Hope you found the video entertaining and informative as always. Click the like button if you liked the video. Give us a thumbs up, please. We could use it. And YouTube appreciates your feedback. So leave a comment down in the comment section. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that little notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. You know the routine: PayPal, Patreon, YouTube join function. Donate, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Thanks again for coming to see us, and please don't forget we'll see all of you on the other side.
I've been watching old Unky Joe. From Texas heat to where the cacti grow. Fixing server solar power in the land. Hoping that his plans all stand. Making life a touch more bright underneath those southern lights.